Oh, you gotta be kidding me. This isn't gonna work. Last episode, we fired up our Factory 5 Type 65 Coupe for the first time. And now that the car's alive, we've reached one of the most exciting parts of the entire build, the go-kart phase. This is where we finally get to test everything. The engine, steering, brakes, and transmission, and we'll do all of that with some low-speed test drives before eventually working our way up to driving it at highway speed. Now, as you saw in the intro, we ran into a bit of a problem with the seat we chose, and that problem led to some significant changes to our driver's seat configuration. In today's episode, I'm going to break down 3 different seat options for the Type 65 Coupe, the pros and cons of each, and the lessons that we learned that could save you a lot of time, money, and frustration when choosing seats for your own build. The first option is the black vinyl Roadster seats that come standard when ordering a Factory 5 kit. If you were to order these separately, they would come out to about $449 a seat. Add the optional side seat track kit, and it would jump to about $534. These bucket-style seats are a popular option for builders going for a more period-correct look and can be upgraded to leather or diamond-stitched leather options on the kit order form. The seat comes in at 22 inches tall and 19 inches wide, and have a bottom mount design that can be paired with the optional slider kit that was mentioned earlier. The slider kit will bump the seat height up about 1.5 inches, so keep that in mind if using this option. Because these seats don't have side bolsters, they're very easy to get in and out of, which is great for a street car, especially one as challenging to get in and out of as a Type 65 Coupe. Now, the trade-off for that is, there's not a whole lot of lateral support keeping you planted in this seat during spirited driving. Another thing that some builders don't like is that these seats offer very little shoulder support and no head support. So that was the reason why we decided not to run these seats. Though we do plan on keeping them and turning them into some cool chairs for our hangout area.
What is that? What the f*** is that?
Okay, they need a little bit of work. Now, if you're set on the vintage look, but want something that holds you in place a little better, the next option to consider is the Kirkey 55V Vintage Class Bucket Seat. Factory 5 also refers to this as their vintage low back seat. Unlike the vinyl seat, this one's made from formed aluminum and features high side bolsters with a molded seat pad designed to keep you much more locked in. Factory 5 offers this seat as an upgrade in a 16-inch width, but if you order directly from Kirkey, you can actually get them in 15, 16, 17, or even 18.5-inch configurations. Here's the seat size selection guide that Kirkey provides to help you find the right fit. One thing to keep in mind though, if you go with the 17-inch or the 18.5-inch versions, you may be limited in how far back you can set the seat, and you may also have to make modifications to the car to get them to fit right. So before we move on to the next seat, if you're finding this information helpful, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss another episode. Alright, so now let's talk to you about the seat that we thought was going to be the perfect solution. This is the Sparco R100. It's a bottom mount reclining sports seat that blends racing style support with everyday usability. It's also one of the most popular entry-level seats that Sparco has to offer. The R100 is offered in cloth with multiple accent color options, as well as in vinyl. We opted for the all-black cloth option, coming in at $425 for the seat, plus another $89 for the Sparco slider track. This seat is another affordable option. Since there are 4 of us who will be driving this car, and as you can see from this photo, we're all built it a little differently, a reclining seat with sliders seemed like the obvious choice. It would give us the flexibility to quickly adjust the seating position for all 4 drivers. But as soon as we set this in the car, we discovered a problem we didn't see coming. So the problem with reclining seats is they require a lot more internal hardware and material, and pair that up with a slider and some flat stock that we plan to use for the mounting, and that just raises the seating position even higher. Now the R100 is a great seat. You've got some lateral support in the bottom of the chair. You've got a good amount in the midsection here, and you've got your shoulder support and your head support. So if you're looking for a reclinable seat that can fit multiple drivers and you're not too tall, this is a possible option for you. There's a lot of people on the Factory 5 forums that have used this seat with success. It's just not going to work for our build. Now the good news is these won't go to waste. I'll actually be running these in my 2007 Honda S2000 to replace the factory seat that's falling apart. So this brings us to seat option number 3. and the seat that ultimately makes the most sense for our build. This is the Kirkey 55 series, coming in at $471 for the seat, cover, floor mount, and back support mount. This is the least expensive option of the three. Now, if you're familiar with racing seats, you know that these can quickly creep up in price, especially when looking at carbon fiber or carbon Kevlar offerings. We can get 2 fully equipped Kirkeys for under the price of one mid-range Sparco or Recaro racing seat. Now, unlike the other 2 seats we've talked about, this is a side mount seat. So this means it can be mounted extremely low. As you can see, I've got the backside of this seat almost touching the floor. Now, another benefit of the side mount type is that you can tilt the seat by using the different mounting points provided. This tilt rotates the top of the seat away from the roof and can give a little extra head clearance. Like the low back, Kirkey offers this seat in 15, 16, 17, and 18.5 inch width. We opted for the 17-inch version. Now this seat's a little different from the Kirkey 65 series that Factory 5 offers as one of those upgrade options we discussed earlier. So the 65 series includes these large shoulder bolsters, which are great for spirited driving, but may interfere with the car's body depending on where the seats are mounted. We've seen a lot of builders talk about getting 65 series seats, installing them, and then having to either make modifications to the body here or actually chopping off the shoulder bolsters themselves and essentially turning the seat into a 55 series seat. We wanted the most options when mounting our seat, so we decided to go with the 55 series from the start. As you can see, we're nowhere close to interfering with the body mount. So I don't have this fully bolted to the floor, so you'll see a little bit of movement in the seat. For us, this is the best option of the three. I've got really awesome lower side bolsters that keep me locked in. I've got this foam pad in between my legs that keeps my legs locked in. I've got my side bolsters here for my midsection. I don't have the shoulder bolsters, but you know, for sake of not having to modify the side of the car, we opted to not run those. Now, if we're doing some track days and we decide, you know, a 65 series seat is something that we need, we can always swap one of those in later. But for the street driving and occasional track use that we plan to do with this car, we think the 55 series will work just fine for us. Now, the con of these seats is with this high side bolster, they are going to be a little bit harder to get out of. So a removable steering wheel is a must when getting in out of these seats. Otherwise, you know, I'm going to have to climb up and around the steering wheel, and that's just too much of a pain. So having this guy is, I would say, a requirement, but you'll see some people run a fixed steering wheel. So I'm going to say something a little bit controversial. I see a lot of guys driving Mustangs and Camaros, and I've even seen some Honda guys installing these seats on YouTube. And no offense to them, but some of them are missing a crucial step when installing these seats, and that's including a back brace. It's really important that these seats are mounted correctly so that they're run safely, and they need a back brace to do that. Now, these are rolled aluminum seats. Aluminum, when hit by something hard, bends. So if this car rolls over or I'm in an impact, I don't want the back of my seat to bend or move. So that's where a back brace is really important. Now, if you're really set on having this seat have adjustability through a slider, Summit Racing, there's some other providers, they do sell adjustable back braces that lock in through the roll bar. And those are fine as long as they're locked in place and set for that driver, they should be okay. But these seats should not be mounted just to the floor, or definitely not through an adjustable slider if you don't have some sort of back brace support. I'm sure I'll catch some flack from some people who are like, you don't need that back brace, bro, you're good. I'm just telling you, this is what Kirkey says that you're supposed to run when running these seats. There are certain racing series that require those back braces to be compliant. So what you want to do with that information is up to you. So one of the things that you'll definitely want to do when installing seats in this car is to have the body on when you do it. Seats may look like they fit just fine without the body on, but as soon as you mount it, you may notice that some pieces are interfering with where the seat is, or you may have mounted them farther up thinking you were going to run into problems with the body, and you actually had way more room than you thought you were going to have and could have pushed the seat farther back. So it's definitely something that you want to keep in mind when you're installing these seats. Have the body on so that you can fit the seat exactly where you want it the first time. You don't have to go back and do some rework. In the next episode, we'll show you how to install racing harnesses and finally get this car ready for its first official test drive. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.